All right. Now, today's title is The Responsibility of Leaving an Inheritance or Will. Okay. Now, too often we think of inheritance purely on in material terms, right? Money, houses, land. But the Bible teaches that godly men and women ought to think generationally, leaving not only material wealth, but also a spiritual legacy. Leaving a will or inheritance isn't just financial planning, it's an act of faith, stewardship, and love for the next generation. See, um, we have a command to think generationally from the Bible. This is biblical. Proverbs 13 and 22 says, a good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children, meaning your children and your grandchildren, and the wealth of the sinner is laid up for the just. See, a good man doesn't live just for himself. The verse emphasizes children's children. We have to think beyond our lifetime. Leaving a will ensures the inheritance gets to the right place and avoids strife. Because I've seen this many times in my family. I've seen it on many times on my wife's side of the family. I've seen it in situations with friends. I've seen it in the situations in the movies, the media. All it doesn't matter. So failing to plan is planning to fail. See, the legacy you leave behind speaks volumes about the wisdom you walk in. First Timothy 5:8 says, but if any provide not for his own, and especially for those of his own house, he has denied the faith and is worse than an infidel. Yes. If you don't take care of your home, if you are just looking out for yourself and you got a family, you are the lowest of the low. This is what the Bible is saying. You are the lowest of the low. Ecclesiastes 7 and 11 says, wisdom is good for an inheritance, an advantage to those who see the sun. Wisdom paired with inheritance is empowering. Don't just leave money, leave principles, structure, and purpose. See, when we use the word inheritance, automatically we think rich. Automatically we're thinking generational wealth. But here's the thing. Leave something. It doesn't you don't have to be Rockefeller rich, you don't have to be Bill Gates rich. The way we have things set up these days, if you're not rich, you have insurance policies. You set up the insurance policy for um, for situations of your demise. You leave that money behind for your family. And if you set it up real good, you can set it up to where they are for the next generation set pretty good. And what you want to do, have them to do is then they proceed to do the same thing with their children and so on and so on. So basically, that is a form of generational wealth. See, because when you do this, you're avoiding chaos and strife. And when a loved one dies, too many times it causes chaos and strife. It causes chaos and strife because said person didn't leave a will. Said person didn't have things set up with the insurance policy. Said person did not keep up the insurance policy and therefore let it lapse. Said person didn't have provisions in place with the insurance policy for a proper burial. Said person did not specify what type of burial. You see what I'm saying? So in so many situations that we have to address in the now, in the living, because once you are gone, how you going to address it? And when you don't address it and you're gone, then it's up to the state. When you don't address it and you're gone, then you have infighting with your children. When you don't address it and you're gone, then there can be infighting with you and your spouses. Excuse me, with you and your siblings. Okay, so this is like a chain reaction. Isaiah 38:1 says, Thus saith the Lord, set thine house in order, for thou shalt die and not live. So, in other words, get your house in order. Just like I've been saying, you're not promised forever. There will be that one day. Now, hopefully, as we all think and say, that one day will be for a long time from now. But at the same time, we still have to have provisions in place just in case. It could be tomorrow. It could be next week. It could be next year. And these are things that a lot of people really don't want to talk about because it's not a pleasant thing to talk about. It's not a pleasant thing to think about, but we have to talk about it. We have to talk about it. I know I, for one, was one of those people, didn't want to talk about it, but at a certain point, you get to you want to do what's right according to the Bible. You want to do what's right according to God's will and His Word. So when you acquire more wisdom and knowledge and understanding, therefore, then you start to realize I need to talk about these things. And let me throw this out there for you. How many funerals have turned into courtroom battles because the loved one didn't leave a clear will? The loved one left everything up in the air. See, part of leaving a spiritual legacy is ensuring your family isn't burdened or divided by your lack of planning. Because you don't want to leave and then there's a fight going on. There's squabbling. There's chaos. Because when you do that, then you're leaving, instead of good memories about you, then now you may have people saying, you may have people mad at you, family members mad at you. I'm just putting that out there. May not be for everybody, but at the same time, it happens. It happens. Deuteronomy chapter 6, verses 6 and 7 says, And these words which I command thee this day shall be in thine heart, and thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children. See, leave a spiritual will, your values, faith, testimony. Give your family more than wealth. Give them wisdom in the word. See, not only the monetary aspect of it, but the teachings that you impart to them, the wisdom, the word itself, the way you present yourself in your everyday living, or the way how honest are you? Things like that matter. Things like that add up because no matter who, you're being watched, you're being checked on. People observe what you do, and if what you do lines up with God's word to the best of your abilities, then that's something that they can grab hold of also. But if you're a conniver, schemer, liar, adulterer, fornicator, and you continuing these things Like as of right now. See, here's the thing. We can be many things, have done many things, but I'm not talking about the past. See, we can leave the past behind. What are you right now? Who are you right now? How do you align with the word right now? See, this is what I'm talking about. So, if you're in that place where you're seeking to do God's will, then that's what you build on. And even from things that you did in the past, use that as a teaching tool. Say, I was this way, I was that way, I used to say this, I used to say that, but now I'm here and I'm all about God's will. I'm all about his ways. See, that's how we build a legacy. We teach those that come in behind us, pass on wisdom and knowledge to them in that manner. Psalm 145:4 says, "One generation shall praise your works to another, and shall declare your mighty acts." So, what are you passing down? Is it just money, or is it your faith story? So, now this part I'm gonna say real quick because I don't want to make this video too long, but I was inspired to do this when reading about Isaac and Jacob. Now, what you can do here is read Genesis chapter 25, verses 29 through 34, Genesis chapter 27, verses 1 through 29, and Romans 9, 10, Romans chapter 9, verses 10 through 13. Read those because in Genesis chapter 25 is talking about the birthright. Genesis chapter 27 is talking about the blessing. See, God is not bound by man's customs. He chooses based on his divine will and foreknowledge. In the story of Isaac, Jacob, and Esau, we see two brothers, one born first, one born favored. The world called Esau the rightful heir, but God had a plan for Jacob before he was ever born. In Genesis chapter 25, verse 34 says, "Thus Esau despised his birthright." See, Esau was the firstborn and entitled to the birthright, a double portion of the inheritance, okay, and spiritual leadership of the family, but in a moment of weakness, he gave it up for a bowl of stew. Think about that. He gave up an inheritance. He gave up blessings over a bowl of stew because he was in the moment. He was the type of person who was in the moment. We need to be not only in the moment, but we also need to be thinking in the future, not dwelling in the future. See, the line here. Whereas we don't need to be worried about tomorrow. We don't need to be worried about what happened yesterday, but be more concerned about what's happening now. Now, at the same time, the word teaches us to also plan ahead, plan accordingly, but not worry about it. See, that's the difference there. All right. So, but in a moment of weakness, he gave it up for a bowl of stew. He traded long term purpose for short term pleasure. Okay. See, he was acting like, what, you starving? You're not going to eat again at all? Come on. Come on. He was definitely in the moment. See, how many of us today are like Esau, forfeiting the eternal of the for the temporary, trading their purpose or trading your purpose, purity, or calling for a moment of gratification? Genesis chapter 27, verses 28 and 29 shows that Isaac blesses Jacob unknowingly but prophetically. Though Jacob used deceit, his desire for the things of God were undeniable. Esau was careless with what God valued, but Jacob hungered for it, even if imperfectly. Romans 9:13 says, Jacob I love, and this is God talking, but Esau I hated. See, this speaks not of emotion, but of divine preference. God favored the one who valued his promise. God honors the heart that desires him, even when the journey is messy. He can work with brokenness, but not with indifference. Okay, see that? So this story isn't just about Jacob and Esau, it's about God's sovereignty. Romans 9:11 says, in order that God's purpose in election might stand, not by works, but by him who calls. God doesn't bless based on performance, but purpose. He chose Jacob before he was even born because God sees the heart and the future. Jesus left a spiritual inheritance. John chapter 14, verse 27, it says, peace I leave with you, my peace I give unto you. See, Jesus left peace, not property. He gave the Holy Spirit as our helper, a legacy that empowers. Galatians 3:29 says, and if ye be Christ, then are you Abraham's seed and heirs according to the promise? We are heirs of God's promise. He set the example of inheritance. So, in conclusion, leaving a will or inheritance isn't optional for the believer. It's part of walking in wisdom, stewardship, and love. Don't just think that your exit. Think of your legacy. Give you a final word here. 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 14. For the children ought not lay up for the parents, but the parents for the children. You hear that? See, we got also too many parents who want to live through their children. They want to be paid by their children. They want to be taken care of by their children. And that's wrong. That shows a sign of greed. That shows a sign of selfishness. We got too many parents like that. They're living off their kids. Okay. So, see, God expects parents to prepare for the next generation, materially and spiritually. Here's a call to action. Write your will. Don't wait. Do it now. Do it today. Do it sometime within the week, whatever, just have an urgency about it. Set your house in order. And that's one way to start doing that. Set your house in order. Finances, instructions, and end of life care. Decisions to be made. Say if you're sick, and here's the thing. Some people can get real sick and they can be in a vegetative state. Um, there's a do not resuscitate. You can let your family know, hey, I don't want to be going on like that. I don't want the burden of having y'all to watch over me, take care of me while it could be years. You could just be laying up in the bed or and your body being basically being run by a machine. Those are some of the things to think about. You know, do you want that type of lifestyle to be living? It's something to think about. So those are the things that you would need to discuss with your family. So that's one of the ways of setting your house in order. Pass down your faith. Leave a written or recorded testimony of your walk with Christ. Be it like I can't get the name out right now. Write in a book about just some of the things that you've gone through. You know, just putting it down in print. Teach your children. Teach them financial literacy, biblical values, and the importance of generational vision. So those are a call to action. The things to do now. Stop procrastinating. Be proactive. Okay, be proactive because we're not promised tomorrow, even though we may act like it, but we're not promised tomorrow. So continue to renew your mind. Said.